ZEPHINA CHARLERY, and I'm from Sitting Prettie Academy, and I watch Black Eyes TV 7.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. These constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us, let us not pretend. No. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now, they couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other, how much you got to spend? If I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend? You got a black business, I support you. I'ma buy black, the block I want us to buy back. I'm trying to buy that, I'm trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause the black man is king, black man is God. Any black celebrity quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I seen blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get COVID treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. This constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't.
I think that's enough staying focused. I think in this time, I think that's all young people really need, because I do think we have the tools in us. I've always said, and I don't believe that Peter Jones and Dragons Den turned me into an entrepreneur overnight. I was always me. But what you need is just somebody to come into your life to get the best out of you. So when I say that, I really do mean that. I think that it's just stay focused or find somebody to help you to become the best of you. Big respect. When I get home tonight, I'll be watching Black Eyes TV 7, man. Big respect.
Hello, family. This is Terry Riggs, Mr. Riggs in the house. Sorry for the little bit of the technical problems. Today we got a special guest, but before we introduce this special guest, this month is Black History Month in the US, so I'd just like to give a little demonstration of one of our tours that we did 2 years ago. So let me see if I can get it up and then give you a quick play. Much stuff. Even at his worst time, he even had a newspaper. He still was doing business at his worst period. We are complaining to just find a job. Thank you. They're waiting on others to be able to repair it. And this is what I was saying about even in the form of a museum, and we're complaining about the schools, museums and what's not. We need to create our own. And for us to be able to create in our own, it goes back to the economical system.
Myself, Omega Axel. Anytime I'm in and around town, I'm tuned into Black Eyes TV 7.
Peace. Yeah, that's Terry Riggs. As I do tours around London and the UK and in Europe, I do a lot of Black History tours. They call me the UK tour guide to the rest of the world. But today, we're going to be talking to someone very special in the fact that this is about the creatives and the people that are actually doing the groundwork within each different communities, whether it's in the US of A, or whether it's in the UK or in Africa or in the Caribbean. But we have some powerful people that we don't get to see. They're always behind the scenes and they're always hiding themselves. But you know what? They put in that work. So talking to the creatives is about highlighting and putting most of these people into the forefront to show you what they do and what they're about. So before I begin, I'm going to introduce this beautiful lady. As you know, it's all about the beauty business. So, welcome, ZEPHINA. Please introduce yourself to the local community.
Hi, Mr. Bings. How are you? How is everyone? Hope everyone is well and staying safe.
Everyone, yes,
nice
it's
to
not
see
about
you,
me.
Mr. Riggs.
It's about how you and what have you been up to? Because you know what, everybody wants to know what you're about. Because this is the person that's been hiding behind the wardrobe and making everyone else do the work. So we want to know everything about the person that's doing the graft. So you know what, ZEPHINA, I'm going to allow you to give us a little introduction of who you are and what you're about.
Okay, so my name's ZEPHINA, and people call me Zeph for short. And I run a training school which is predominantly based around hair and beauty. We have over the years broadened what we offer. We now work with young people in Peru, so the ones that don't get into mainstream school, some that are not in school at all. So we now deliver beauty or hair, but also functional skills, English and maths. We now also offer customer service. I've also divulged into doing something called the Erasmus group, where I send people abroad to different parts of the world so they can learn or work more in their industry, and they can get to know how other cultures perform and work in that industry. All expensive paid, so we do get very full very quickly because people are like, oh, it's a free holiday. But actually, it's always about business, and that works exceedingly well.
So that means you can put me in your suitcase and take me along.
Yeah, if you can fit. So
but you know
yeah,
what? You know what?
interesting.
We don't want to talk about what you've just spoken a lot of what you do for others. But
Yeah.
we want to go into the nitty-gritty of when you grew up yourself. And I want to go as far as I always say to people, as far as going back to the age of 15. And what was you like when you was 15 years old? Because that is kind of the prime part of where your creativity has begun. So
I was
what
a
was you doing
tomboy.
at the time?
I was a tomboy at 15. I had a BMX relay burner. I wanted to be a vet. We had a farm at the back of our house where we used to live, and I used to go there after school because I wanted to be a vet. And it didn't take me long to realize I didn't actually want to be a vet when I had to start mucking out in the pig pens. Then I changed, and then I decided that I wanted to work with young people at quite a young age. So I went from beating up boys, not liking boys very much, to then liking boys a lot, to then wanting to be a vet, and then then turning into doing social work. So I started off working with people and communicating with people through working with social services, and then I did my degree in criminology and criminal justice, which was awesome. And then I went into fostering, and then lo and behold, I went into marketing and beauty. Yeah, so I turned my hand to many different types of job opportunities at the time.
That's quite interesting because I want to see where does this connection, because you're in beauty and the beauty business. At that age, there must have been something that's surfacing because, from a tomboy to becoming a teenager to becoming a young woman, there's a transition. And you know that our parents have much of an influence.
Okay,
so I want to know, where does it roughly come in?
Yeah, the influence would have been, which I forgot to mention, is that my mum, everyone knows her as Zena, for those that know her. She's like my sidekick. My mum's like my ride or die. And my mum is a hairdresser. and she actually teaches within the prisons, but she also now works alongside me. So my mum started off, I grew up going into hair salons. Before she had her own hair salon, she used to work for a company called Aquarius, for those that know it, in Finsbury Park. And I used to, at the age of 5 and 6, be given loads of sweets, and I used to sit there and munch and watch TV while she used to be downstairs working away. And so I think my love, I'd never wanted to be a hairdresser. I hated it, not interested. But I think the love for being around people and beautifying oneself came naturally. Just, I think, because my mum's a hairdresser. So I think she was the one that actually started all this.
Okay, so if you wasn't really into the hairdressing, I presume that behind the scenes you got a taste for business. When did you when did you start to create some form of your first business to able to manifest it into its true reality? Because you've got your mum that does the hairdressing. You said you didn't really like it, but you had to deal with it because it's part of a woman's criteria. But where did your creativity actually come into combining the two, the business and the actual beauty?
I went back to university and did a course in marketing, a BA honours in marketing. And during my journey there, I had gone back to do my beauty course because I wanted to be able to offer something to my colleagues at university, because I found that when we began our semesters, we all looked good. And then halfway through and near the end, everybody was unrecognizable. Their hair was torn up, skin was looking bad, nails was mashed up. So I decided that I was actually going to do beauty so that I could offer it to people that was in and around university. So I was doing my beauty in the evening and I was doing my marketing degree in the day. And I worked in between that doing mobile beauty. And then while I was at university, an opportunity came up where we had to come up with a business opportunity that could possibly work. I then came up with a beauty hub for people to come into the University of East London and actually have treatments done, just very small treatments, but enough to make them look and feel good whilst they're studying.
ZEPHINA, I'm just gonna put you on a hold for a second, because if I'm right, you've done a slight jump, because there was one part of beauty that you was doing, and and using your business mindset, you was able to kind of find a certain way, and this was very long time when you was helping someone do marketing. But you was creating something in forms of the beauty, in forms of hair products.
Yes. See, I've done so much stuff, I've actually forgotten what I was doing. I was like, what is it I was doing again? Yes, I came up with, at the time when Beyonce was doing her lace wig, trying to palm it off as it was her own hair, and we was getting into lace wigs, and I decided to come up with actually my mum helped me with this. Actually, we came up with a workshop where we was doing workshops and going around to hair salons and charging them quite a bit of money at the time for them to understand how to put on the lace wig unit safely and be able to take them off, remove them safely without damaging their hairline, because there was a lot of things at the time going around where people were shaving the sides of their hairs off and stuff like that, which was ridiculous. So we went in like a force to be reckoned with and started to put these groups together, which was really successful. And from that I started to sell hair and like lace wefts and stuff like that for weave, and I'd go into salons and say to them, right, you're going to buy a certain amount of weave from me, you're going to pay a small minimum amount for it, and then at the end of the month, when you've done a lot of weaves, you're going to give me this such and such a balance, which worked wonderfully well. So I came up with a product line, named it, branded it, sewed it for a little while in some Asian hair shops that were happy to take it on board. And yeah, I did that for quite a while, and that was a really good money spinner. And I was doing at the time as well, because of that, a lot of sponsors. So I was working with a lot of people, and I was sponsoring Miss Black Britain, I think, at one time, and I think at one point in time I did something with yourselves, and we did the Obama inauguration, which was a biggie, and that was awesome. We met a lot of celebrities on that night, so that was really, really, really productive. Yeah, and we done that was probably where before going to university, my raw creative flair actually started.
Okay, just for 1 second, family out there, if you have any questions, please put some your questions into the chat room. As soon as you're listening and hearing what's going on, and at the same time, we have over 20 people in the house, and do press that like button, that big tick up there with the big thumbs up. You know, we want to get the numbers up, so please press that now, because we've only got 3 likes, and you know there is 22 people in the house. So it's not equivalent, but yes, if you have any questions, please ask your questions in the comment section in the chat room, and we will answer your questions. Okay, so in the facts of doing that and doing the hair, was you still kind of observing your mother's business on how it worked, or was you already removing and having your ideas? Because before you left that side of things and going to the academy, what was the procedures what was your transition from there to actually creating your own business?
Yeah, I think I was taking on my own kind of strategies and kind of learning as I went along. And while I was doing my marketing degree, at a university somewhere in London, they've got something called a business hub, and you know, there I took a lot of my strategies, put it in place, and kind of worked out how I was going to work this and what I wanted to do. So I realized that I wanted to do a training school. I started off with a nail bar. I actually forced the university to give me a section in their university so I could do the nail bar. So I actually did that, and I started the nail bar. But I found that that was a bit too hot and cold, and I needed something that people would value a bit more, and I could make more money quicker in a shorter space of time, so to speak. So basically, I decided that I was going to offer awarded body qualifications. And I just went and found out how that kind of works, what I'd have to do. In between that, I was doing extra studying because, you know, to deliver these courses, because they're awarded bodies, you have to be able to be qualified up to a certain standard. So I was just finding out, asking my mum also what I'd need, because she's been an assessor for many, many years. And she was like, no, you need to do your assessors. So I went and found and did that. So I did my assessors. Then I did my IQA, internal quality assurance qualification. And it's funny because within this field, when I finished my level 3 beauty therapy, I thought I'd made it. I thought I didn't have to do any more studying. I thought, that's it, I can move on and do what I need to do. And I was absolutely wrong. So if you're getting into this field, is something that you, or just like you, even in terms of teaching, not necessarily having your own training academy, but in terms of teaching, you have to be continuously learning. If you're not a fan of education, then this definitely is not going to be for you, because you have to be current. And I'm consistently
I'm going to ask a question here, though. I'm going to ask a question here, ZEPHINA, is the fact that a lot of people will say that going into university is a struggle, not just because you're going to go and learn something, but at the same time, the struggle is that you have to live your life. And people want to know, how did you, because one thing you didn't mention, at the time of your struggles, you had 2 children.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. I am a mom.
They want to know, how did you juggle work, education, children, and maintaining your home? Because that's a creativity on its own.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I think for me personally, I'm naturally a very motivated individual. And once I knew what I wanted to do, there was nothing that was going to stop me. And, you know, my family was so good. They were really, really supportive. So to be fair with you, they allowed me to progress in the way I needed to because I needed childcare because, you know, my youngest at the time was, I think, probably about 8 or 7. So I made a lot of sacrifices. My grandmother on my mum's side was always, you know, tell me off, and I'm not spending enough time at home with the boys, and you need to be at home with the boys. And she just never understood my hustle. But I worked a lot and I made a lot of sacrifices, and sometimes I did sacrifice my time with the boys, like watching them grow up at key, you know, times because I was at work all the time. I was studying. At one point, I was studying literally like maybe 12 hours, you know, a day at times, and then I'd still have to work because
And
I
that's
have to
what I
bring in
mean.
money. Yeah. So I didn't get much sleep during those like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, sleep was a cousin of death.
In that critical point, what kind of advice would you give someone that is going through that as they may have children and they want to go through the same path as in forms of the beauty business itself? What kind of advice would you give in that at that precise point?
Business is not as easy as people think. I think people have a really bad misconception that all we do is paint nails. We do a lot more than that, and we have to know the whole anatomy and physiology of a body inside and out. And it's a very expensive industry to get into. The equipment that you're buying, the products that you have to buy are very expensive. Not that that should put anyone off, but you just have to be prepared and you have to be realistic on what you can do at that point in time. I mean, I did things over a duration of time. So as I was studying, every time I'd finish a module, I would then hunt for whatever it was product wise or equipment, and I'd purchase it. So by the time I got to years of finishing, I already accumulated a lot of stuff because I just bought it in sections as I was going along. But I would say you definitely need to have a good support background, especially if you have young children that can actually look after your kids whilst you're doing what you're doing. And I would definitely probably suggest, you know, if you're with a partner, having a supportive partner, you don't need to have drama. Drama doesn't work. Jealous partners don't work when you're trying to get to you know all about it.
You know, as they always say, as the women will say, typical men.
It doesn't work, and you have to have someone. I see a lot of the times women have really good ideas. I've been training for many, many years now, and I've come across so many types of women from all walks of life. And it always boils down to they want to do more, but they're in a relationship, and you know, sometimes the partners won't permit it. I was quite fortunate because I'm a very headstrong individual. So what I says actually was going at that time because I knew where I was going and what I wanted, and that was all that mattered.
Okay, so you know, in saying that, right? But then financially, right? I understand that you're going to go for these courses, but financially, how would you prepare yourself? Because sometimes, you know, if you're short of money, and okay, some people have families and whatsoever, but some women out there just don't have the financial backup, but need to go through these things. And the power that you've kind of shown me is that one thing I always say to people, especially a lot of women, is that it's only the circle is only you and your children. The male is just more of the extension to the situation, because if you don't be strong, because one thing that if you find in the statistics is that women mostly live out men. So what you will find is that women have to know how to create their own circle and their own bondage within their own family. Because what we do in Black Eye TV, one thing we always advocate is black family first. So we have to create that family and make that family strong. But you know, in the forms of you transferring that same ideology, do you put that same ideology within every kind of concept or business that you create?
No. And the reason why, you know, I just say as it is, and it would be nice. It would be really nice to have all this black family thing and we're all together and kumbaya. But unfortunately, some of our black partners, you know, previous partners or whatever that we walk with, sometimes rather than supporting us, they're in competition with us. So when you're competing with the outside world, you're competing with other people studying, trying to get good marks, you're competing with people that might not want to give you opportunities to get where you need to go. You're also coming home and competing with someone that's supposed to be supporting you. So when you don't,
there's no teamwork.
There's no teamwork. There's a lot of I and not enough T.
A lot of I, no we. And I always say, you know what? Go on.
Yeah, so I find that because of that, either women don't move to their full potential because they don't want to ruffle too many feathers, and they think about the children first before themselves, and sometimes they just think, well, you know, I can do it at a later date, maybe, or, you know, it's just a dream. That's, you know, I wanted to really do it, but I don't know. And then they live vicariously through their children sometimes, you know. But I decided once I was getting into this industry that nothing or nobody was going to stop me from doing what I had to do. And the proof is in the pudding, because, you know, now I still have my business, but, you know, the partners that I had when I first started, they're not here today. So that's my prime example. You know, they get caught up in whatever they get caught up in, and it takes two to tango. So it's not just a one-sided let's bash men kind of thing. But I think when you are an entrepreneur, and I think this works both ways, when you are an entrepreneur and you're on that hustle and you are on that grind, it takes a lot of hours. I would be at work until sometimes 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'd get home about, you know, 3:30, and I'd be back up at 6, and I'd be back in work for 7:30. And I was doing that for about 6 years or so, 6 or 7 years. I was running at that level continuously all the time, no matter what. And I had partners at the time that would become very insecure about what I was doing, and why are you at work till late, and, you know, what are you doing? And if at the time I was doing a lot of networking meetings as well, because that's really good to network with other, you know, like-minded people that are into business, and that became an issue, you know, because I was out, and this can be a problem, and I've seen it slow down so many women. It's unreal, you know, because I'm in industry, so women don't finish their courses when they're with me. The dads won't look after the children so that they can come and study. You know, they'll go to the gym, they'll go everywhere other than be at home with their children. So this is the type of things that, you know, unfortunately, this is what we come across, unfortunately. So
ZEPHINA, 1 minute. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Go on.
Why do you think the males are like that, in your perspective?
You'll have to ask their mum, sweets. I have no idea. And you know something? I've got to a point where I don't actually really care. Because I'm not a shrink, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not here to overanalyze you. We're here to work as a team. We're here to be a partner. My grandmother always used to tell me 2 hand clappings is always better than 1. Yeah. So if I win, you win. It's very simple. If you win, I win. And this is why we're meant to be working as a team. But unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't quite happen. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. But
would you find out that the reason being is that you are your own team, in that you have a background of foundation, because I've heard mum and I've heard grandma, and it's like it's a pass down of understanding how to maintain the family itself and how to be etiquette in your business ways.
Yeah,
Do you find it's that way?
Yeah, 100%. The women in our family are super strong. They do what needs to be done. They make sacrifices where they must. And out of all that DNA came Zeph. And you know, sometimes I can be a lot more than they, and sometimes like, oh God, Zeph, you're just so much sometimes. But you know, they wouldn't have me any other way, and I wouldn't have me any other way. So I think because of the mechanisms that we have as a union, and we're really solid as a family, and we all support each other as a family, I think that has definitely given me, you know, a big heads up and a big advantage and a blessing that I can sit here today, have this type of conversation with you today, and move forward in the way that, even in COVID, it's still been really good for us in COVID, you know. And I'm always looking at and finding different types of strategies, different types of business. You know, I'll call my mum, what do you think? You know, is this a good idea? Should I do this? Should I do that? Even though I feel quite like I'm savvy as an entrepreneur, and I'm always coming up with different types of ideas that actually do work. You know, she's like, yeah, do this and yeah, do that. And the stuff that she says that I don't really like, I just don't do it. But the stuff that she tells me to do that I like, then yeah, I go ahead.
Okay, so let's go to the seed of the flower, because you know, something that has already been formed has to begin with a seed. Now you've got to the aspects of going to the colleges, going to the universities, studying and studying and studying.
Yeah.
What made you even think of creating that form of establishment in the first place?
I think when I was... Say that again?
I said it's a big task you've done.
Yeah. It's, you know, something is really easy. I think it's much more easier to get into this, but it's much more harder to sustain it. And I think that people see what I do and they think it's real easy. When I was building my business, I had a lot of lonely moments, lonely times, no life. So whatever life you think you was having or had, that's out the window. I didn't really see many people. I just literally worked. And literally my whole concept was, I need to plant this seed. And the seed is, I can play later. But right now, this is a serious thing. And for me, time was always of the essence, although I was quite young when I started initially. But I had planned what I'm doing today. I had planned probably about 15 years ago. So this is not something that I just jumped up and I was like, yeah, I'm going to just do this today. I planned this strategically. I studied. I went to work for FE colleges. I then went to work with private colleges because I knew I was going to do a private college at some stage. So I wanted to make all my errors in other people's establishments. I know that sounds really terrible, but literally that's what I was doing. And
but you know what? Steph, hold on just 1 second, because what you're showing me, right, is like a vision board.
Oh, absolutely.
And this vision board, if it started 15 years ago, that takes patience to understand that it's taking you 15 years, where some people would have quit within a few years or halfway through. But you said, I'm adamantly to get myself to get to that direction. So I just want you to know, you see that first plan that you created, I want you to explain that first plan, because people have to understand that this is a vision that you've put down to creating this business that you have.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to tell people I was going to have a training school, and they were like, "Oh, why are you studying? Or why are you here?" You know, we do like a icebreaker. Why are you doing this? Why are you here? And I'd be like, "Uncle, I'm going to have a training school." They'd be like, "Is it?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." "Oh, do you think people would want to come to your training school?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, why wouldn't they? Of course they would. I'm doing the training." And I think I had, luckily for me, a lot of confidence because people around me didn't have as much confidence in me as I did in me. So I think if I'd listened to certain people, I probably wouldn't have started anything. I probably thought, oh, that's just such a silly idea. I best part that and not bother with that. But I was like, no, actually, that's what I'm doing. And you may even come there and want to learn something from me. And I think it was just very flippant. People would be like, oh, okay, she's going to a training school. Great. Okay. And then all of a sudden I've done a training school and they're like, oh, you've done a training school. That's really good. So it seemed like it was something that happened quite quickly, but it was something that took me a long time to put together, but I absolutely knew what I wanted to do. So it's not impossible. I had very good credit at the time. And that helped a lot when you're in business. Having good credit is really, really important when you're first starting out in business. And having a business plan, although it's really boring and tedious, but why I don't need to do that is really important. And actually studying and getting all your qualifications before you start is really important. Because when you start your business, it's going to be very difficult for you to concentrate and go to college or university at the same time, because all your focus is really going to be on building your brand and building your empire. And I had many hats. I was doing marketing, I was doing sales, I was teaching, I was doing all the resources, I was doing admin, I was buying the products and stocks. You have to really want it, because that's a like we already discussed, it's a long time to be in business for that length of time and keep up with that level. And people would have normally quitted probably already.
Yeah, because you know what, as I always speak to the youngers, and we've got an academy, we've got called Manhood Academy and Womanhood Academy, and what I tend to find is when they speak to these young ones is that they always talk about, yeah, I want to be a footballer and I want to able to play football. But and I always say to them, but why don't you try to be like a football manager or a football club owner? But you see, most of our children today don't look at that aspect. They just look at the work side of things. And when you're explaining that you was going for the top of the branch, you weren't going for anything less within them 15 years. So in like what you was doing, did you put this down as in the form of your business plan and chopped it up and said, I'm going to do 5 years here, I'm going to do 2 years here, I'm going to do this or do that, or you just freelance all the way through?
I did freelance all the way through, but I was still strategic in my freelancing, because I knew that I had to make sufficient money, because I knew that when I was going to open up my business, you know, I'm a new business. I've got no accounts to show anyone to get any funding from anywhere. I'd have to rely on private clients basically to keep me afloat and going. So I worked literally 7 days a week, working and teaching at different environments and places. Literally, they were like, they loved me, because when no one wanted to teach on a Sunday, I'd be there teaching on the Sunday, you know, and Saturday and stuff like that. And God bless my auntie Jennifer. Every Saturday she'd cook. That's my dad's sister. She would cook for me every Saturday, and I'd literally eat and flake out on her sofa. Just I couldn't even move because I was so exhausted, and I'd get up and do the same thing. But I knew that I had to save a certain amount of money for when I was ready to go it alone. I was able to do that, because that's how a lot of businesses crash, because they start a business, they've got no extra surplus funds. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know how much money they're going to make. You can project all you like. When you see that money going into your bank account, that's the real deal. So I worked through every penny, every day, every hour I possibly could, and saved up enough money so I was comfortable to start my business. but I knew that I didn't want to be just a beautician. I worked as a beautician, so I did every job. I worked in every job to know what I wanted to do, and I looked at every salary band to see if that's going to be able to sustain me with a lifestyle that me on my own, not no man, not my family, but me on my own can actually sustain and run my household and my children with. And if I knew that weren't going to happen, I'd work there for a little bit, then I'd move on to something else. So I did swap jobs.
ZEPHINA, you know what some men would say? They'll say, "This is a night, baby. I'm off in a mile," but they don't know how kind and soft you are.
Well, do you know what? It was unfortunately, now I'm a bit more calmer. But at the time, it was literally all about me. It was all about me and my boys and making sure that they never went without. Although at the time, or reflecting back now, you know, they needed time with me, which I now can do with my youngest son, because I'm now in a different position, so I can get to enjoy him now and still enjoy my business. So time was an essence that I missed out. But when they wanted the PlayStations and they wanted the brand newest of everything, they got it. They got more than two parents working together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, in the fact of creating this business and this school, what was it based? What was the foundation of this thing built up on? Because some people say, okay, we're going to start from nails and then we're going to do this. But how did you begin to structure your academy, but the business before the academy? Because people want to know how you structured it.
Yeah, well, what I did is I started off with the nail bar, because when I was at the university and they gave me a location there to start my being an entrepreneur, the room was so small I wasn't able to do anything else. I was like, right, what can I do that would work in this size space? So I did the nail bar. Then when I decided that actually training was the way forward, because I wouldn't have to rely, because even though I had the nail bar, I was still teaching in another location because I've still got money to make. So I had girls working for me. I got some girls that were working for me. Some of them were really good and friends with me today, and some of them were absolute nightmares, and I'd never get anyone to employ them ever again. Yeah. But this was a learning curve for me, because I've never been a boss like that. And I had to learn how to manage people while still trying to run a professional business. So I was still working. And then what I realized is that I needed to get the awarded body in so I could offer more. But they only offer you more based upon the space that you have. And the space was too small, which means I would have only been able to offer me doing nails. So I speeched to people in the university. That was my strategy. And I said to them, I need to use a bigger room because I've got something to do, a conference room. Can I do that? And they said, yeah, of course. And they handed me the key. And then I got all the beds, everything out, put it in the other room, pretended that I had like all this massive space. And then the awarded body came down. And they was like, yeah, this is fantastic. This is like a lot of space. This is great. Not knowing I only had this small, tiny room. And they was like, yeah, we can give you the awarding for you to do loads of other stuff. And I was like, great. So I got that. I achieved that. So I was really, happy about that. And then from that, I thought I need to move now to bigger space, because now I have my opportunities have now expanded. I can now offer a lot more services and courses because I've been given extra, awarded qualifications. So by accident, nothing happens by accident. But someone called me and I wanted to move into Chinkford area, and someone called me and said, oh, there's a fruit and veg shop in Chinkford. They can't run it. It's been open for 4 weeks. Do you want it? So I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Went and had a look. It was perfect for the space. I mean, we've kind of outgrown it now as we speak, but it will do. But it's a decent size. It does what it needs to do. And from having that extra awarded body qualification, I was able to expand, and we've never looked back. So you do have to be super creative. You have to tell a little bit of white lies to get what you want, and you do have to be very strategic. Sorry, it's the truth. You
Okay.
have to be strategic to get what you need. And then once you've got it, everything's cool.
That's as you have to understand the English language is made up of grammar, logic, and rhetoric.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%.
it's how you say it is what it is. So indirectly, it's not really a lie. It's just saying as it is.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah.
just
So
work with opportunities.
so as you began to expand, what did you, as you said, you had a small little room. What did you start to bring into that to creating the school itself? What was the next step?
Well, obviously, I wanted to offer more courses, which means I'd need more equipment. But because I had done the beauty some years ago and I was buying equipment as we went along and I didn't wait to the last minute, I was able to obviously purchase some goods and stuff like that. So, and I just built up on that. I still worked for an organization once a month. I was doing customer service for apprenticeships in a gambling place. So I was going to Southend. So once a month I would drive to Southend and I would deliver training because I just needed to make sure I had enough money. And this was always my thing, you know. So once a month I'd have to shut the shop just so I can go and do this training elsewhere, just because it was good money and I knew that it would benefit Sitting Pretty. And that's the kind of stuff that I would do. But everything has to be gradual. If I try to go out now and buy all the stuff that I have in our training school, you know, it would be thousands and thousands upon the thousands of pounds, which for people that are starting new in business, that may not be obtainable initially. So
Okay,
starting small is good.
Okay, so in saying that, the first course that you provided, your very first course, how did you create that course and how did you handle it? Because remember, when you do your first new course, you have to shift and change and improvise and putting things together because you're trying to establish the first course. What was that first course and how did you try to establish it?
Well, this is where my entrepreneurial skills came into play because I was running a nail bar but couldn't do nails. I could do everything. I mean, I'm talking about acrylic nails. So I was good at doing everything else, but acrylic nails was not my thing. And what you used to find is that beauticians at the time could only do you was either a nail technician or you was either a beautician. And I was a beautician. So I couldn't do nails. So because I had the nail bar and I had the ladies that was doing nails, I just said to them, right, you're going to do your assessors and you're going to teach these people. And they were like, okay, cool. So they actually I formulated how I wanted the courses to be taught and they did the teaching. And then I was really hot on feedback from the clients, you know, from the people, the learners that were paying for the course. And then I used that so that I could see where I needed to move forward the next time around and how I could change it and perfect it.
So what qualifications did you get after the course?
Awarded body first we did the in-house qualifications, so I just did it with a small insurance company that would allow you to get insurance once you had finished. So I did, because to join with an awarded body is very expensive depending on which awarded body you go with. Some are hundreds and some are thousands for you to join, and if you're starting as a new business and you're not quite sure how this is going to pan out, it's better to do it where it's going to just cost you a couple of £100 or like £60 or £80, but still deliver high quality training. And then when we got more comfortable with what they kind of wanted and how we would move forward, then we moved to the awarded bodies qualifications, where they got bigger qualifications, which meant I could charge a lot more money for that.
Okay, so in saying that, so you're doing these courses.
Yeah.
Did you have, besides doing the courses, did you have like a business that was attached to it, to the public?
Yeah, I mean, we did commercial. We did have the commercial side, but I'm not really a fan of doing commercial stuff, really.
Okay.
I worked in commercial for a long time, so I could get my skills up and I was effective in whatever I was doing, because I knew all I had in mind was training. I never wavered at one point in time. So everything I did, you know, working, I used to work in a wax bar in King's, in up in where was it? Yeah, King's Cross, which was awful because it was hot and sweaty, and I had to do like men's backs and like coming from work and stuff like that. And you know, and yeah, all that kinds of stuff. But I took everything they gave me, because everything they gave me is what I utilized in my business. So anything they gave me, I was like, yep, I'll do it. Yep, I'll do it. Yep, that's fine. That's not a problem. I did everything, because everything that I did mattered and counted for moving forward within my own business.
So was there specific products that you used to work with, or was it just you created your own in-house products?
I would have liked to had created my own products, but at the time it was just too much work. So it was just too much with everything else that I was doing, you know, as a one-man band. So in the end, I would, you know, take on the most renowned products, and I would use those. But even to do that, to become a stockist, we call it, is expensive. And I was using a product called Environ, and even to buy their machines to use the products with was like starting at $4,000. And then you'd have to do all the courses with those products. So they wouldn't allow you to just buy the products as a stockist. You'd have to do all the training, then you'd have to buy the product, then you'd have to buy the equipment. So even in terms of thinking of all these types of things, when you start a business, you have to take all these types of things into consideration.
Okay, so in asking this, right? In your training, how many staff did you employ?
I don't employ anyone. Everyone is freelance.
Okay, freelance. So as in no, then reword this. How many freelancers did you have that created your team?
Now we have my mum, and we have a lady called Norma, who is like, she's like my sidekick. She actually, I met Norma when I was doing having facials. I used to go to her many years ago, where I would have my facials, and I was like, Norma, why don't you get into teaching? And she's like, yeah, I think I'll try that. And she's absolutely brilliant. And Norma is my ride or die, because in this industry, you have people coming in, what we call them, sheep in wolf's clothing.
Yeah.
Where they come into your business to see what you're doing in your business and how your business runs and what resources you use, because they want to do the same thing. So they sometimes come with not the best intentions. So it's really difficult when you're taking people on board to deliver something that they are going to treat it as if it's their own, and not that it's just a pass through because they're doing something else. When I was working in people's establishments, I always treated people, thought I owned the establishments I used to work in, because I treated it as though it was my own at the time that I spent there. And I didn't disrespect anything. I didn't take anything I wasn't supposed to. Sometimes I'd bring my own stuff in if they were low on stuff like that. And so it's really difficult finding people that fit the bill. And I do find sometimes that, especially beauticians, they can be, I call them promiscuous, because they move from, you know, shop to shop. Whatever's happening in that one, and that's better, then they'll be gone. So you could come into work and have no staff all of a sudden. You know, so for me, that's why freelance worked. But by having freelance, you know, you never know quite what you're going to get. So learning to trust people was really important in business, and learning not to be too overly trusting, and, you know, keeping what you need to keep safeguarded for yourself, so that you're not totally exposing yourself or your business, because people will come in and try and expose your business and then walk out with it if they could, or ruin it.
So what would they say within your own business? What would they say is your speciality? Because that's your little corner. That's my speciality. That this is what I do, and everything else falls into place.
Yeah, our USP is that we work we work very family orientated, and we work quite tight netted. So when I worked, and what I mean by that is when I worked in FE colleges, a lot of the girls that were on training would fall through the net if they weren't caught in time, or they weren't coming in, or they were struggling with the course, or they had boundaries to learning which prevented them from coming in, maybe childcare or finances, whatever. You just wouldn't see them again, and that would be the end of that. But with us, no one goes undiagnosed. We're able to work very closely with individuals. So we've managed somehow to create a very secure and safe environment. So as soon as people come into this environment, whether they were scared before about learning something new, by the time they touch into this environment that we've managed to create over the years, it's just like a different person. They come up with qualifications. They're a lot more confident in themselves. It's quite inspirational to watch.
Okay, so in forms of creating that system, did it take you long to create that system to keeping to able to maintain the business itself? Because a lot of people, like I always say, is that they can buy a house, or they can buy a school, they can buy an establishment, but the biggest issue is maintaining it. How did you maintain that structure and to make it disciplined in the way it is?
My concept to teaching, I think, is probably not run of the mill to probably most assessors. We're quite relaxed. We're very chilled. We're relaxed. We laugh a lot. We banter. Even though we're teaching you and they are learning, we still talk about women things, man problems. We get to amalgamate loads of different, what we call life skills, into one. So because sometimes they may come with an issue, and this is might be what is preventing them from learning. And while we're doing a practical, we may talk about this, and then by the time they've finished the practical, they've achieved something, but they also are relieved because they've now been able to share this burden, so they can discuss it with us and talk it through with us. So I think we are much more than a training school of academia. I think we're definitely about making people feel safe and secure, and a place for them to come and discuss issues that they probably wouldn't necessarily get to discuss anywhere else. And I'm more of a solution builder. So I like to find out, well, okay, this has happened, so how do we get to that solution? How do we fix this? So I'm a bit more of a fixer. I don't like to hear moaning and droning. We do try to keep it as positive as possible. And we do a lot of positive affirmations, I am strong, I am beautiful, all these kinds of things that we're into. So we instill a lot of that, which I know a lot of places do not, because I've worked in a lot of places, and I know, because of what I do, I know a lot of teachers, and that's not something that they do. So I'm quite I feel quite blessed and happy that this is something that we can offer, and I can actually really get to tailor make how people should feel when they come into a training environment, because not everyone likes it, and not everyone is sure that they're in the right place when they're in that place. But by the time they come to us, Norma's fantastic. Norma has loads of different types of experiences and working with drug victims and abuse victims and stuff like that. So she has a wealth of experience differently. I mix, as with many different types of people from all walks of life, so I can become like a chameleon and gravitate with anyone and anyone. And I think that's probably what makes us unique, and people keep coming back to us. Once they're with us, they don't actually really want to stop training with us, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Okay, in a matter of fact of you saying that, we've got a group of women on our other channel, which is called International Sister Circle, which will be coming back in March. And it will be nice if you come back and speak to these women, because you have a few women on the panel, and we allow the women to do their duties and diligence, where it's a Sunday women's conversation. You know,
Okay.
all the men get out, even including me.
Yeah, cool. That would be awesome. Yeah, most definitely.
So we have that every Sunday roughly around between 3 and 4. So on the Sunday. So that'll be good. But before we move on to the next, I'm going to play, because on this channel we call this Black Eyes TV ×2 is our entertainment channel, and we talk about the creation, we talk about what's going on within the industries of beauty, fashion, music, and art, and all that kind of stuff. We always, within our sessions, sometimes we play a music video, we play an advert or whatsoever. So we've got a guy that we're going to be interviewing and talking about banking in Ghana. So I'm going to play this video, and then we're going to come back. And family, if you have all your questions, please get your pens and papers and start to flood in your questions and the answers as we still dig into ZEPHINA, because there's still more that she's got to tell us about, especially on the creativity side. So I'm just going to play this music video while we're talking. But yes, ZEPHINA, in forms of your vision, where do you think you're going to go with it in the future? Or what are you planning within just the teaching aspect of things?
In my vision has been, and I didn't know why I had this vision many years ago, and I thought, why have I got this vision, where I was standing in a panel, like I was somewhere, like I was delivering some sort of teaching, but more based on the motivational. So delivering things of a motivational level to women. So I think that I'll always do teaching, and this is what it's at. But yeah, I think motivational speaking is where we're at.
Okay, so let me just quickly play this video for the family. So and people, give your opinions on this guy. He's from the States, and we like to play a lot of our music artists that are up and coming. You know, the young ones, you got to help them out and promote our own as much as possible. So I'm going to play this video. So you just tell me what you think.
May you manifest every heart desire. May you manifest every heart desire. Judicial systems and politicians are wicked. Prey on the innocent, poverty-like conditions. Popular protocol, populate compositions. Your whole existence is probably out the picture. They out to get you. Foreign DNA and mixture. Never thought I'd be touring CLA with these lectures. Made the elixir for the people to paint a picture. Clear as day in they breathe. We created the scriptures. Genesis, Deuteronomy. Who could rhyme with me on the subject? Keeping the eye on me, whole society know what's up next. My sobriety flows entirely for the upset. Suppression of truth, back in the booth. School of coons in the coop, take them back to the roots. I'm a star like a monologue, not your kaboom. Coming hard, you should know the guard higher than you. Couple rappers in the game that I'm trying to chew. Couple countries on the plane, ain't I'm trying to view. I'm divine, you divine, what you trying to do? From my mind to your mind, let's align the crew. Cause every line is a sign, just combine the two. May you manifest every heart desire. May you manifest every heart's desire.
The generation of change, no longer we see meditation is strange. Maybe in different lanes, but the destination the same. Future seeing the wave, you hella late in the game. Gotta deal with the pain, repeating it is the same. Who protecting the culture? Who deflecting the vulture from scooping up all the folks up? Who you respect the most, influenced by and promote? Cause few and few of our role models moving and still a spoke of. For you there's no love. Black civil rights movement got you confused with the rules of the illuminated, like who's related to who. Since the age of 2, made it fool what they say in the school don't pertain to you. Taint the truth, they playing it cool. Since the age of the noose, we've been making the news. Crooked cops running blocks now, spraying your boo. When the semi on the Glock now, aiming at you. When it pops bullets, you not gonna be able to chew.
May you manifest every heart's desire. Young, hey you. May you manifest every heart's desire. Hey, hey, you.
Can't hear you, Terry.
A minute. I'm trying to get everything into place. Yes, family. I hope you enjoyed that song there. What do you think about that? Can you hear me, ZEPHINA?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I said, what did you think about that?
Not really my genre.
Truth.
Not really my genre. Not really my genre, but he's creative. He's creative. He's creative, but it's not something that I would be rocking to in my car. But you know, kudos for him for doing his thing.
Okay. So yeah, he'll be on the other channel and he'll be coming on the creative because he's a very creative person in the States. So he's going to be this is the show that will be on at 10 o'clock on the Black Eyes TV channel. So it'll just be Black Eyes TV on its own. And they're going to be talking about banking, financial banking, and talking about cryptocurrency and more in Ghana itself, as well as working with the people in the African diaspora in the UK and in the USA of A. So don't forget, go to Black Eyes TV, put your reminder, press the like, and you will see it there at 10 o'clock tonight. Will be a big discussion on that situation. So now, before we go into it again, we're going to terrorize ZEPHINA once more and get some more information, because we need to be educated out here. So we need as much education as we can get for free. So we can set our own business up.
To help.
You know, our counterparts have always replicated our work, and we haven't said nothing about it. So why can't we replicate our own work? But yeah, in saying that, right? Looking at the situation of the academy. Now that we kind of, how many courses, by the way, do you do?
Oh gosh, we do hairdressing. We offer NVQs, which is like the highest level in vocational qualifications. So we do hair, we do beauty, we do nails, we do massage, we do Botox, we do fillers. We do customer service now. We do business studies, functional skills, English and maths, assessors qualifications, IQA, and teacher qualifications.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll be looking at the website and seeing all that lovely jubbly stuff that you're doing. But before we go there, I know you've got this academy, but I know you've got a mind of an entrepreneurial mind in the fact that you like to do other stuff. What other stuff are you up to? Let's put that mind up.
I have a book that's coming out. Hopefully, it's with the publishers at the moment, and we're just trying to sort out the photo shoot for the front cover, which has been debatable and what should go on the front cover, but because of COVID, it's kind of slowed it up. So the book is called A Guide to Running a Training School. And really, when I wrote the book about 4 years ago, because that's how long it's taken. And the book was more when the book has been read by a few people, including the publishers, and it came across as though it was a lot more motivational. At the time of writing it, I didn't think it was motivational. I was just really writing about the highs and the lows of running a training school, and the sacrifices you have to make, family, all these kinds of things that people sometimes don't think about when they're entering into a business. Being a woman, being a female woman of color as well, how that impacts things, and being asked to do, I mean, when I first started to do my business in, I'm not going to say the place, in a certain university, the amount of things that they asked me for architectural drawings of a layout of where I was going to put my beauty beds, where I was going to put plugs. They wanted a million and one things, and people next to me were just moving in. It's fine. But for me, I had to do. So I went and got an architect, and I gave them the architectural drawing. There you go. What's next, darling? So it's taught me to be quite ruthless. So I've spoken about a lot of things like that. I've spoken a lot of things about that in my book, and how challenging it can be, and how you have to kind of really dig deep as an individual to make these kind of things work, and want it bad enough, and don't give up. There were times I wanted to give up. There was a time, I think maybe 2 years ago, I said to my mum, I don't think I want to even do this anymore. So you do get to that point where you feel like you're knocking your head on the wall. We've had working with providers where we're doing all the work. They're taking all the funding, not paying us. I've got 2 providers at the moment that owes me a hefty sum of money, where we've trained students, and they've taken all the money and not paid. So these are the things, what do you do when you're not getting money for like 6 months? But you've got students coming in every day, sitting down, using resources and stuff like that. These are the kind of things, the dark side of a training school that people never see, because when they look through the window, they push the door and they come in and say, "Hi Zeph, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." I'm all smiles. So sometimes when I get home, I don't want to actually smile, and I don't actually want to see people, because my job is to do that every day when I'm at work. And these are the kinds of things that I talk about in the in the training booklet. Things that no one wanted to tell me and show me. I've actually written it down for you guys. You're gonna have to buy it though, unfortunately. But I've written it down for you guys so you can kind of see if that's the route that you want to go down, possibly.
Because the funny you saying that in terms of certain beauty and fashion genres, what you will find is that a lot of people get paid every 90 days instead of like a weekly or a monthly base. So when it comes to colleges and universities and things like that, they tend to suspend their period of time of payment, and some people may not even last a month. Do you know what I mean? Because of the amount of materials that they've got to use or spend on. So I understand that side of things. But in saying that, at the same time, what kind of other programs do you give programs or help youth in its perspective?
Yeah, we do a lot of programs for young people. We do programs between the ages of 16 and 18, where they can come and do either hair or beauty or barbering, and we encompass that with functional skills and business studies. So we're kind of giving them a whole, even if they don't want to do beauty when they leave, at least they already have their functional skills in English, because a lot of in English and maths, because a lot of the young people that go through this system come out with literally 0 qualifications. So we try to bridge that gap, where even though their home life may be a bit chaotic and disorderly, but at least when they come here, there's some form of stability, and they can gain a qualification, whilst doing so.
That's quite
So,
interesting.
yeah.
So have you had some of the young girls that have gone through that? Have they actually come back again?
We don't get well, what happens is they can do a
Or
level
referral?
2 and a level 3. They normally stay on to do a level 3. Now these are young ladies who don't have any qualifications, never been interested in going to school, you know, probably been in trouble with the law on numerous occasions. Sometimes we have young mums. We've been known before to because we was desperate for a young mum to not miss out on education. Her people who she was with was supposed to, you know, house the young baby, and they didn't. So we would actually, sometimes I'd be holding the baby while she's actually studying, and we would take it in turn. Sometimes I'd give the baby to Norma, then sometimes to my mum, just so that she's not missing out on her education. So, you know, we do things of that. Sometimes it's not very orthodox, but we just want them to study at any cost possible. So we do things like that.
Okay, so what is hanging in for the future of Zeph? What is the
Zeph or Sitting Pretty?
What's the future plans?
I'm
'Cause,
separate.
you
I'm
know,
separate, you know.
as
Zeph is Zeph and Sitting Pretty is Sitting Pretty. I've learned to separate myself now, Terry.
Okay. Ooh. So how have you learned to separate yourself? Because I want to know how to do that. Because I don't think, as men always say, you know, we don't know how to multitask. So we have to learn from the best.
Listen, separating myself from Sitting Pretty was one of the most difficult things I could have possibly done. And I had to realize that I am Zeph, and I need to be kinder to Zeph because I wasn't being kind to Zeph during my years of building my business.
So sitting Pretty took over.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sitting Pretty took over, most definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now Zeph has a life, and I don't work as much days, but that comes with time. That comes with time, I think. Yeah, that comes with time, and letting go and allowing that your business can still go on, even if you're not running it 7 days a week.
Oh. Because a lot of people ask that question. Family, if you have any questions to answer or ask in its format that you want to ask about the beauty profession and how it is and how to even get in contact with her, at the same time, I've heard some people say that they would love her to come on board and come and speak to some of their women. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat while I am looking for something. But as Zeph said, she wants to speak out to most of the people that have helped her in every situation of the building of the academy and others that were influential to her. For example, Zeph, give us one of the famous names that has helped you in your direction.
Yeah, this is what I call the gratification. This is what I call the gratification shout out. Yeah, so I can't name every single person, but I'm just going to round it up. So these are the people that I'm naming that I'm absolutely grateful for having you in and around my life at some stage. So I first and foremost want to give a shout out to LSM Book Publishing, and they are the people that are publishing my book at the moment. This is not running in an order of importance. I've just written it down, so I'm just speaking it out. I also want to give a really big shout out to any of my students that might be listening. Without the students, there's no academy. So they are always my first priority. So big shout out to you guys for wanting to change and inspire yourself with a new career. My friends and family, listen, they know I love them like cook food. My aunts, my uncles, my grannies, my mum, my dad, my sons, although they drive me mad, but I love them too much, and I'm really grateful for them, because without them, a lot of what I've had to do over the years may have taken me a lot longer to do. I won't say that I wouldn't have done it, but it would have taken a lot longer for me to do. I want to say a big shout out to Dee Dee Beats. She came today and did my makeup. Young 20-year-old young woman who's really into makeup, hard worker, really inspirational. So I want to say a big shout out to her. Also, Dolly Angel, she's brilliant at doing hair. So I want to say a big shout out to you also. Anton Ford, Ryan Gordon through the thirds. These are the people who are really inspirational. We do a lot of talking, especially with Ryan. We do a lot of strategy, business ideas. What can we do for this? How can we change it? So it's really important to surround yourself around positive, like-minded people. Get rid of the people that aren't talking your language. I also want to do a big shout out to Green on the Green in Chinkford. Tasha, we talk a lot. She's really inspirational. She lets me know when the business grants are out. So big up to you, Tash. Sharon, who owns their salon, she's another go-getter, really inspirational woman. She's got children as well, has been through a lot of experiences, and she's awesome. Love you, Shaz. Want to say a big shout out to my mum, Mummy Dairies.
Yes,
I love you.
Mummy Daily.
Mummy's been the seed to all of this.
Yeah, I've got to take my hat off for Mum, because even when we was at the big show at the what's it called, what was that one that was near the bridge, near the Blackfriars, and Mum was working hard. What was that award ceremony? And Leah Long was there.
Oh, Miss Black Britain, when I sponsored Miss Black Britain.
And I saw your mum was working it down. And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, out of the bottom of my heart, I have to run to the shop and be a servant to Mum, because she puts in the work.
You know what? My mum puts in the work for everything. She puts in the words for my boy. She puts in the work for me. She put in the work for Sitting Pretty. Anything that Zeph is associated to, she really does put in the work. So I've got to say, big up to Mum. Also, I want to big up Elizabeth Duncan. She does my massages. She's a brilliant massage therapist. So anybody that wants to have a massage or needs someone to come to them, or you want to go to somewhere, just let me know and I'll give you her details. She's awesome. So Liz, I want to say thank you. And she gives me all my my amethysts, my stones and stuff like that, because I'm into all that kind of universal stuff.
Chakras.
Chakras. And also I want to big up and say a big gratification to Norma Ellis, who is my side rock at work. She gives me loads and loads of jokes. She's so funny. And Norma is a real inspiration to many women, and she's for us as women, and I love that about her. So Norma, I want to say big up. And one more person I want to say shout out to, my homegirl. She's my ride or die, Diana Francis, really brilliant hairdresser. I love you. Thank you for your support, guys. I just want to say thank you, and to you, Mr. Riggs, Terry.
But before we go, we got
time.
We got a bit
I
more
know,
time.
but when I'm going, I'm just going. I don't want to say thanks and all that to everybody, so I'm saying all my thanks now. So thank you, Terry, for choosing me as being one of your guest hosts, and I am truly appreciative of that. So thank you.
Okay, so before we head out, and we've got a little bit more information,
Okay.
I just want you to elaborate. At the end of the day, the telephone number for the business is 0203 417 4042, and you can say, and then you can. The email is
hello@sittingpretty.com.
sittingpretty.com, and then we're gonna go through as this is the home page, as we can see, all the work that she actually does, from the massage, the fast tracking course, and whatsoever. There's the number once again. There is the MVQ. Give us a little breakdown on the MVQ.
So NVQs are the top end of qualifications. They tend to cost more money because the units are a lot more larger. So if you're going to apply for a job, NVQs always look a lot more appealing to your people that you're going to apply for a job for. So yeah.
Okay, so then we're going into the other part, which is the beauty.
Yes.
Give us a little breakdown.
So there's different types of beauties here. There's fast track courses. Not everyone has time to sit down and do, months and months and end of training. So it gives you might just want to pick one particular unit. You just might want to do a bit of waxing, or you might need to refresh on something. So here you can kind of do littler courses to kind of get your money in, because you may decide that you may want to specialize in something rather than doing a whole course. So this is where this becomes quite good for people that may want to specialize in something niche.
Okay, what about massage?
Yeah,
I need one myself. I might have to find my way down there.
Not to me.
No. I could be the lab rat.
Yeah, so massages for people that kind of want to do hot stones, Swedish. We're going to add some new massages on there. We're going to start doing some Thai massages and some kind of some more different kind of specialized massages. So that will be new. That will be adding onto that program.
So the fast track courses,
those are people that kind of have an understanding about beauty, but don't have the time. They might be off for a week, 2 weeks, and they would just want to get in, get it done, and get out. So that's for those people.
And then teaching qualifications.
Yeah, so for people that want to be like myself, that teach learners, you might want to do your assessors, your petals and things like that. So it gives you a whole breakdown on different teaching qualifications. The assessors, I may add, and the teacher's qualification is a generic qualification. So not everyone that will be listening obviously will be beauty and hair led. So in order to do that course, you do not have to be specialized in hair or beauty. It's a generic qualification. You just need to be specialized in whatever you're going to teach. So if you're electrician by trade and you have qualifications, then you'd be assessing as electrician.
Okay. Special courses.
What's on there? Oh, the special courses, we haven't put anything on there yet.
On there yet? Okay.
Yeah, but the special courses will be things like micro needling, micro blading, those kind of more specialist courses for people that kind of want to get a bit more. Them courses are like your level 4s, so you'd have to be trained and proficient in a level 2 and 3 before you could literally do those courses.
Okay, so what about the apprenticeships and the beauty therapy?
I must change that. We don't actually really do apprenticeships anymore, just because we just don't, and it's a lot of paperwork for what we get paid. I've got to keep it real, got to keep it honest with you. And we've now found other ways for this to work. So this is kind of where the Erasmus program would probably work better, because people are not stuck on having to get paid a minimum wage. They still get paid an allowance. They go off a couple of weeks, they learn something, all's good, they come back with a different experience.
Okay, so this is the contact family. If you need to contact, and you can rewind and able to see the contact of the telephone number, which is the telephone number is 020-3417-4042. And it opens from Monday to Friday from 9:30 to 5 o'clock, or Saturday from 8:30 to 3 o'clock, and definitely closed on Sunday. So we can hijack her for the International Sister Circle. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? But yes, if you want to go to her website, I will put the link in the chat. Just get hold on, let me come out of here, and able to put the link in the chat for the website. So if you need to contact her as soon as, and you need her to come and show the women around you and show about what she does as we're going through this pandemic and this, you know, we need to highlight most of our creatives who are actually doing the work in the community and doing as much as possible, family. So please hit that like button, share, like, and subscribe, you know, and all that lovely jubbly stuff. But let me highlight it once again, that there is the website, as you can see. So please go to the website, check it out. And if you want to have a one-on-one consultation or discussion with Seth, I'm gonna decide to be her agent.
Listen, there's a line, you know, there's a line of people that want to be my agent.
I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna speak to Mum. I'll bring her 4 cows in a meal. Yeah. So if you need to, but if there is before I'm gonna let me play this advert, because we've got a show that we've started for every Tuesday at 9 o'clock on the main channel. I will play the video for you so you can see what the discussion is going to be, which is called the True Talk. I'm just waiting for it to upload. But Seth, if there's anything you need to say, what would you like to say? What kind of advice?
Stay focused. I tend to try and not say too much of what I'm going to do until I've done it. So you don't. Oh yeah, I want to say. Oh yeah, there's someone else I need to say a big thank you to, Terry. Big thank you to Terry. I want to say a big thank you to my haters. In business, you're always going to have a lot of hatering. So I just want to say thank you to all the haters. I love you a lot. And without you, there's not much motivation for me. So keep doing you so I can keep motivating myself. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. T. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. Let me just see if I can get this advert up. Hold on before we head out. Oh gosh, it keeps on sticking. Hold on.
What does that mean? You're not meant to play it? Is that what that means?
Hold on. It's been very difficult, but it's working. It's working a bit. I just got to let it settle in. You know, these new technologies these days, they're always giving problems. And give it one more try. I'm gonna give it one more try to see if it works. If it doesn't, they'll see me on the other side. Hold on, let's see if it comes up. There you go.
Even in 2021, knowing something like all toilet tissues and toiletries in colleges and HBCUs.
Out there making things happen as opposed to a specific organization, because most of the organizations that I see, they're kind of playing it safe.
And qualities in leadership, for me personally, has to come from people who are not emotionally led.
Start the repairing process, you know, because we are traumatized. Yeah.
The system and then go to work for them, because the kids is looking at you like, wait a minute, I'm ready to move, but you want to work.
grammar, the input, the knowledge, then we uncover more.
We need to get back to our natural state, which is black family first. You understand?
Black family, then I don't know what you're talking about.
Family, yes, that'll be for this Tuesday, so don't miss it at 9 o'clock. Okay, hold on. Yeah,
I just want to address something quickly, Terry.
Yeah.
Someone messaged on my WhatsApp, why did I mention about haters? So a lot of that was being jovial. But on a real note, there's a lot of people out there that will befriend you, smile with you, you know, try and offer you advice, and actually they can't stand you. They don't like you. They won't support anything to do with your business. And I think as you grow in this industry, not just in what I'm doing, but in business in general, you have to learn to be what I call have the third eye. So not everyone you can welcome with open arms, but you have to be like professional about it. And not everyone you should let into your sanctuary. So you have to be in business, you have to take the good and you have to take the bad. People that do not like you will pretend to like you, and then they'll slander you to other people. You know, they'll make derogatory references. So for those people, you don't react by making threats and stuff. You can gather the information and know, and just use that, turn that into a positive and move forward. Because these are the types, as you're doing, and I know that I must be doing something good when when people have a lot of negative things to say, and people will, and people do, and you have to be prepared for that. And I think my mum taught me a thing where you have to learn to be really professional and not take everything people say and do to the point where you're going to want to punch them in the face, because that's not how we act when we're in business. So you have to use the negative things that people say or wish and do about you and transfer it and use it for good. So that's why I'm mentioning about haters, because they can have a lot of impact in your business. And this is something as an entrepreneur that I have witnessed and come across. And I'm talking about doing business with my own kind of people, black women. You'd be amazed with the amount of things that I've come across when you're working with other, you know, black people or black women in business. Is a serious thing, and sometimes if you're not careful and you don't keep your eye on the ball, they will try to take your business down. So the reason why I mention haters is because I've learned to rise above it. I joke it, I mimic them, and I laugh about it because I'm obviously at a different level and a stage now. But when you're in business, it's something you have to it's something you'll experience. It's something you have to think about, and it's something you have to be
100%.
conscientious about. You know, you can't be in business and think it's all, you know, sandy white beaches and clear crystal blue water. That's not being realistic. And I think when you're in business, you have to be realistic about why people are doing what they're doing and how that affects you and your business. When I don't get paid, that affects my business, it affects my home, it affects my children, you know, it affects a lot of stuff. So what I am saying is, don't be naive about
but you know,
people that
can you hear me,
don't
Zeph?
like you. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Zeph? One
Yeah,
thing you've got to understand, one thing that everyone has to understand in life is just one word: love.
Yeah.
And once you understand what love is about, then you understand that it doesn't matter what anything anyone does or whatever they want to feel to do, it's always move in that format of love and keep it moving. But I'm gonna head out and end the show. And it was thank you for coming on board, Madame Zeph, showing your
thank you, my darling,
the Iron Lady, and fans and family and friends and everyone. You know, it's peace, blessings, and you know one thing I always say to everyone in the house. You know what? Spend black, live black, do black, and be yourself. Love thyself. Peace,
love thy
and
love thy neighbor.
I think that's enough staying focused. I think in this time, I think that's all young people really need, because I do think we have the tools in us. I've always said, and I don't believe that Peter Jones and Dragons Den turned me into an entrepreneur overnight. I was always me. But what you need is just somebody to come into your life to get the best out of you. So when I say that, I really do mean that. I think that it's just stay focused or find somebody to help you to become the best of you. Big respect. When I get home tonight, I'll be watching Black Eyes TV 7, man. Big respect.
And I'm from City Prettie Academy, and I watch Black Eyes TV.
All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. This constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us, let us not pretend. No. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now, they couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other, how much you got to spend? If I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend? You got a black business, I support you. I'ma buy black, the block I want us to buy that. I'm trying to buy that, I'm trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all-black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause a black man is king, black man is God. Any black celebrity quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I seen blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get COVID treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.